listeners. My name is Ratza. I'm the author of two ongoing series of novels, the Lightning Brain series and its sequel, the Keeper series. And in addition to being an author and a writing coach, I teach at universities and have a consulting business. If you'd like to learn more about me, my books, my writing coach activities, please contact Prime Solutions via lightningbrainseries.com website. Now, I try to make videos that I think authors and writers, as well as most people, might enjoy listening to. I want to cover material in a manner that you might not see on the news or in other YouTube or similar videos. I figure that if I can't find a different point of view, there's no reason for me to add something that you can find elsewhere. Well, the title of this video is Man's Brain is Clever, but will it be humanity's demise? The news today is rife with examples of this possibility. The July 22nd Wall Street Journal report on climate change complained that climate subjective matter experts spread more misery than help. And an adjacent article warned that if the world isn't careful, the presidents of Russia and the United States could escalate the Ukrainian war into a nuclear confrontation. And the recently released book, If Nietzsche Were a Narwhal, by Justin Gregg, agrees with all of this. Now here's a reviewer's summary of that book. If Nietzsche Were a Narwhal overturns everything we thought we knew about human intelligence and asks the question, would humans be better off as a narwhal or some other less brainy species? There's a good argument to be made that humans might be a less successful animal species precisely because of our amazingly complex intelligence. All our unique gifts, like language, mathematics, and science, do not make us happier or more successful, evolutionarily speaking, than other species. Our intelligence allows us to split the atom, but we've harnessed that knowledge to make machines of war. We are uniquely susceptible to fake news. Our bizarre obsession with grassy lawns has contributed to the growing threat of climate change. We are sexually diverse like many species, yet stand apart as homophobic. And we discriminate among our own as if homophobia is natural, which it certainly is not. So is our intelligence more of a curse than a gift? As the author argues, there is an evolutionary reason why human intelligence isn't more prevalent in the animal kingdom. Simply put, non-human animals don't obsess about being successful, and miraculously, their success arrives without the added baggage of destroying themselves and the planet in the process. In 7 darkly amusing chapters, the author highlights one feature seemingly unique to humans, our use of language that gives us our rationality, and our moral systems, and our so-called sophisticated consciousness. And he compares it to our animal brethren. Along the way, strange tales of animal smarts emerge. Here are some examples. Pigeons that are better than radiologists at spotting cancer. Bumblebees that are geniuses at teaching each other. Reading the book might change how you look at animals, humans, and the meaning of life itself. Well now, perhaps we can find a school of philosophy that might give us a cheerier outlook. So let's check out Stoicism, a school founded in ancient Greece that instructs us not to fret about events outside our control, and to remember always that the only thing we can control is our response. Here are some guidelines regarding an event all people throughout the ages worry about: death. We have nothing to fear from death except the fear of death itself. And as far as we know or ever will, there's no pain when you are dead. We will never know what happens to us when we are dead, just like we will never know what happened to us before we were born. And death is the great equalizer, so we should be magnanimous in life and take joy in the gift of mortality, which makes us appreciate each and every day. I recommend the book, The Practicing Stoic, a philosophical user's manual, written by Ward Farnsworth. If you'd like additional calming examples of a variety of concerns everyone has on subjects such as judgment, desire, emotion, and virtue. Well, now here's a book I might not recommend you read, but simply listen to my summary of a review. It is The Rise and Triumph of the Modern Self, Cultural Amnesia, and the Road to Transgenderism. It's written by Carl Trueman. This book is 400 dense pages and is not for the faint-hearted. It is also disturbing in places, as it lays bare a society that has clearly lost its way. It can be alarming to think about the challenges that lie ahead for parents raising their children in our current society. Trueman cites authors and philosophers that may be unfamiliar to the readers, and its beginning quote sets the tone. Here it is. "I am a woman trapped in a man's body." He asks why anyone would make such a statement and how society could accept it without question or consternation. It is the consequence of years of effort, writing and philosophizing by people who oppose the traditional view of Western religion. The so-called sexual revolution of the last 60 years, culminating in its latest triumph, the normalization of transgenderism, cannot be properly understood until it is set in the context of a much broader transformation in how society understands the nature of human selfhood. The sexual revolution is as much a symptom as a cause of the culture that now surrounds us everywhere we look. Trueman explains why Western society has made transgenderism, the LGBTQ plus community, and the sexual revolution so prominent. It is the consequence of years of effort, writing, and philosophizing by people who have opposed the traditional view of religion. He draws on expressive individualism, which describes how people find meaning and their identity in the way they express their feelings and desires. He also touches on how other issues of contemporary creation, such as anti-culture and death works, affect us. He also notes that abortion is the greatest act of barbarism because it profanes what some cultures claim to be sacred. The author goes on to show how philosophers such as Rousseau, Nietzsche, Marx, Darwin, and Freud exerted enormous influence on modern culture by peeling God away from culture and making man the center of the universe. But many of these theorists have a general disdain for ordinary people. The result of such thinking is that the family is viewed as a vehicle for abuse and tyranny. Society's institutions and history must be torn down and new structures erected. Free speech does not extend to those who question or oppose the new ideology. Truman analyzes why it is not enough in today's society to be merely tolerant of differing opinions or lifestyles. He notes that people believe that they have the right to psychological happiness, and anyone who challenges their happiness is acting immorally or even illegally. People today look for dignity. They demand to be treated and accepted in a manner that affirms their lifestyle choices. The author claims that Western civilization is now completely subjective, which means it has no outside objective source for its values and morality. Competing civilizations acknowledge God or some form of objective standard to which people generally adhere. Truman notes that the abandonment of a sacred order leaves culture without much of an ethical foundation, and he concludes that as a result, ethics becomes a subjective function of feeling. And he draws from emotivism, which purports that all value statements are simply expressions of personal preference. Truman makes some suggestions for how the church can respond to the current cultural situation. He notes that much of what society is longing for, such as community and belonging, the church is perfectly situated to provide. He also shows the futility and devastation that occur when people are driven by selfish desires instead of moral standards. Rather than setting people free, the removal of moral constraints leads to destruction, both of individuals and society. Truman notes that no society has been able to last too long that did not have some standard upon which to evaluate right and wrong. Without such a foundation, society eventually crumbles. He also notes that people who have been largely discredited have nevertheless been influential. For example, most of Freud's ideas have been dismissed, yet his sexualization of society remains popular. The same could be said of Darwin. Well, it sure sounds like man's cleverness has created modern conundrums for society. And here's another topic that the Stoics never knew about: the age of artificial intelligence and its impact on our human future. AI-empowered software increasingly infiltrates all of our environments, such as environmental, healthcare, technological, social, political, and economic. How will this change our behavior and ultimately what it means to be human? Man's clever brain has already developed expert systems that can play chess or Go or diagnose diseases better than people. And the text creator, GPT-3, that's Generative Pre-trained Transformer, can answer questions as well as write stories that rival what humans can do. Software for self-driving cars and jet fighters is here now. Will the software answer be even better than us? Will the software take over? Because AI is smarter than our human brain and the gap will continue expanding, we often don't understand why AI makes the decisions it does. Should we follow its orders in life or death situations? If so, what ethics are we following? And what if an enemy has AI software that's better than ours? What should we do? And will too much reliance on AI weaken our brains and stultify progress? We don't have answers to these questions, but at least we are beginning to address them. And if you want to read one of the best relevant books I have found, try this one, The Age of AI by Henry Kissinger Eric Schmidt and Daniel Huttenlocker, whose collective intellect offers sage advice. And you might enjoy viewing the website futureai.guru/WJ to learn more about an exciting project whose ultimate goal is to create AGI software, that's artificial general intelligence software, that thinks even better than people and talks to us. The project, as well as its GUI interface, is named Sally. Sally uses mobile sensory pods so the system can learn from a real-world environment and gain a fundamental understanding of physical objects in reality, cause and effect, and the passage of time. These sensory pods help Sally learn about the real world. The knowledge Sally acquires can then be used for other applications, including personal assistance like Alexa and Siri, automating customer service systems, and robotics like Boston Dynamics Spot. I've watched some videos that show Sally in action, and it is amazing how clever are the machines we make. Well, I'm going to end this video here. You can consider the topics further if you wish, and either way, I thank you for watching or listening, and I will say bye-bye until next time.